The automotive future may be all electric, but at the moment, most people still cannot afford EVs unless they live in China. This country is the biggest EV market in the world, with dozens of electric car makers that invest billions in new technologies. In such a highly competitive market, the only way to survive is to offer competitive prices, and indeed, the Chinese market is home to the most affordable EVs in the world, and this video is all about them. So here are some of the cheapest electric cars from China. Number 8. The MGZS, $16,650. It may not offer as exciting roadsters as it used to do in the past, but the famous British brand operates very well under Chinese ownership. One of the numerous models in the company's palette is the EZS, an all-electric version of the ZS. It is a subcompact crossover that looks fairly attractive both outside and on the inside. More importantly, it is very affordable, at least in China. For the asking price of 120,000 wons, which is roughly $16,650, you get a modern-looking crossover that's equipped with a 72.6 kilowatt battery pack, which provides a max range of 273 miles or 440 kilometers, according to the WLTP combined cycle. The crossover comes with a single electric motor mounted on the front axle, with a max output of 148 horsepower or 110 kilowatts. Besides China, the MGZS is also offered in Europe, Australia, and India. While the Australian market version is quite affordable and goes around 24,000 Australian dollars, the European market version is, unfortunately, notably more expensive, with a price tag of 31,000 euro, the same as in India, where this model starts at around 28,500 when translated to US dollars. Number 7. Baojun UI, $10,700. The Baojun UI is a very fresh model, introduced just a couple of months ago, and besides the fact that it costs just 76,800 wons, which would be around $10,700, it has so many other great things to offer. One of them is the styling of this tiny SUV, which brings a lot of Suzuki Jimny vibes. The boxy shape is complemented by pretty decent ground clearance. So we are pretty sure that the dual motor version with four-wheel drive will be offered at some point in the future. Meanwhile, the SUV features a single electric motor mounted on the rear axle with a max output of 50 kilowatts. That seems quite enough considering the model's dimensions. As for the battery, there is a 28.1 kilowatt pack located under the floor, and the manufacturer promises 188 miles or 303 kilometers on a single charge. Besides decent autonomy, it's also worth mentioning that this three-door SUV looks pretty nice from the inside, with an elegant dashboard design, massive screens, and a pretty nice selection of materials. Definitely something you wouldn't expect at this price range. Unfortunately, the Baojun UI is offered only in China. Number 6. BYD Seagull, $10,700. The BYD Seagull is another model that debuted at the recent Auto Shanghai, and it was accepted so well that the company already took thousands of orders. For the starting price of 76,800 wons, which would be somewhere around $10,700, this four-door B-segment hatchback gives a lot in return. It comes with a 30 kilowatt battery pack, which ensures up to 190 miles, 305 kilometers of range. You can also get a version with a bigger 38 kilowatt battery pack, and in that case, the max range goes all the way up to 251 miles or 405 kilometers. That's quite an achievement, we would say. In both cases, this four-door hatchback comes with a single 55 kilowatt electric motor, which has enough power to move this 3.8 meter long car with ease. Things are equally impressive from the inside, where you can find a decent build quality, as well as a good portion of tech features. Some of them are a 5-inch digital instrument cluster and a massive 12.8-inch infotainment screen. The BYD Seagull has all it takes to become a bestseller, so it's no surprise that the company already announced plans to attack the European market. Number 5. Dongfeng E1, $8,600. Believe it or not, you can buy this small EV on Alibaba for just $8,600, which makes it one of the most affordable EVs in China. China's second largest car maker is known for numerous partnerships with car makers around the world, and this particular model is a product of a joint venture with Renault. If you live in Europe, you will find its styling pretty familiar. That's because the Dongfeng E1 is practically the same vehicle as Dacia Spring. The two models were developed together and share most of the parts. Besides the very similar exterior, the two models feature practically the same cabin design, with the same dashboard and seating configuration. And that shouldn't surprise you at all, as Dacia's EV is produced in the same assembly in China. Even the specs are pretty much the same. The Dongfeng E1 comes with a single electric motor that puts out 45 horsepower, enough to ensure a top speed of 65 miles per hour or 105 kilometers an hour. As for the battery, there is a 26.8 kilowatt unit, which provides up to 168 miles or 271 kilometers. Number 4. Geely Panda Mini, $6,000. This Chinese company became known worldwide after the acquisition of Volvo, but Geely is much more than that. It is one of the world's leading companies when it comes to the development of all-electric vehicles, and therefore, it doesn't surprise that its offer of all-electric cars is quite impressive. Panda Mini is one of them, and it stands out thanks to a super affordable price. It starts at around 42,900 wons, which would be under $6,000. For that money, you get a tiny hatchback that's just a little bit longer than 3 meters. Besides attractive styling, you get a nicely designed interior with a decent portion of standard equipment. As for the specs, base models feature a small 20 kilowatt electric motor and a tiny 9.61 kilowatt battery pack, which ensures around 75 miles, 120 kilometers per charge. If you pay a little bit extra, you get a more powerful 30 kilowatt electric motor, as well as a 17.3 kilowatt battery. The max range goes up to 125 miles, 200 kilometers in this case. The Geely Panda Mini is currently sold only in China, and there are no indicators of its arrival to other markets. Number 3. BYD S3Wan. Introduced in 2022, the Baojun is one of the cheapest electric cars you can buy in China. This tiny hatchback has it all. It is compact, easy to drive, and super maneuverable. Moreover, it is also a good-looking car with a decently sized 9.6 kilowatt battery pack, which ensures up to 75 miles, 120 kilometers of range. If you need better autonomy, you can opt for the 13.6 kilowatt battery pack, which increases the max range up to 105 miles, 170 kilometers. In both cases, you get a 20 kilowatt electric motor, but considering the model's size and proportions, that's plenty enough to ensure decent performance, including the top speed that goes up to 62 miles per hour, 100 kilometers per hour. We also like very much how the Baojun looks from the inside. Typically for electric cars, the dashboard layout is rather simplistic, but that simple layout comes in a combination with a massive panel that integrates two massive screens, one for digital gauges and one for the infotainment, in the manner of premium car makers. All this comes with a sticker price of 33,900 wons, which would be around $4,710. But that's enough only for the third place on our list. Yes, things can go even lower in China, so make sure to stay with us until the end. Number 2. Dongfeng Mini EV, $4,530. With 2,995 millimeters in total length, the Dongfeng Mini EV isn't just one of the cheapest, but also one of the smallest electric cars you can buy. The starting price goes around 32,600 wons, which equals $4,530. And what you get in return is a 3-door hatchback with a funky-looking interior full of retro elements. Besides a small digital gauge cluster, it also incorporates a couple of physical knobs and buttons, which is a real refreshment in this world of oversimplified EV interior designs. As for the drivetrain, the thing we like is that the 25 kilowatt electric motor is mounted on the rear axle. It draws power from a small 9.8 kilowatt battery, which ensures 75 miles, 120 kilometers per charge. 2 more battery packs are available with 13.8 and 16.8 kilowatt, while the company also introduced a bigger 30 kilowatt electric motor. With the biggest battery, the max range goes up to 137 miles or 220 kilometers. Unfortunately, the Dongfeng Mini EV will most likely remain exclusive to the Chinese market, just like most of these super affordable EVs. Number 1. The Wuling Hongguang Mini EV. The Wuling Hongguang Mini EV is currently the cheapest electric car you can buy in China, with a starting price of around 28,800 wons. Translated to dollars, that would be just 4,000. But don't be fooled by the price tag. It has a lot to offer in return. And that's why it's no surprise that this small EV, which has been available since 2020, has already been sold in more than 1,100,000 units. This is the best-selling EV in China. First of all, there is a pretty attractive styling, which can be upgraded even more if you're willing to pay extra. There is the macaron version of the car, which features unique color options and further styling upgrades. But the story doesn't end there. The Wuling Hongwang Mini EV is even available as a convertible with a folding soft top. As for the specs, there are 3 versions you can get regarding the max output. Base models feature a 15 kilowatt electric motor, but you can also get variants with 20 or 30 kilowatts. The same is with the battery, where you can choose between the base 9.2, 13.8, and a quite respectable 26 kilowatt package, and get autonomy that starts at 75 miles, 120 kilometers, and goes all the way up to 175 miles, 280 kilometers with the largest battery. Now that you've learned this, here is the next video you should watch to discover even more.